stuff got all messed up when I was messing around with the video. All right. I think that's how I want it set. So, hey everybody, it's Emily, and we're going to have our live discussion for the Midnight Library. I'll give everyone a few minutes to arrive so we can get started. Let me just get all of my things situated. Okay. Okay. I have my tea. I'm drinking the what is it called? The cinnamon chai that was today's like advent calendar tea of the day, and I kind of like it. I'm not usually a big fan of chai, but this is not that bad. Although I think Sarah's probably going to have the rest of it. So I hope everyone had a chance to read. Hi, Mickey. Oh, cold coffee. At least you have a drink. That's better than nothing, I guess. My tea is only hot because I literally just made it. So I hope everyone had a chance to read The Midnight Library so we can hang out and chat tonight. I wanted to point out that I was annoyed when I opened my copy and saw that the naked was like literally there's nothing on the spine, and it bugged me. But after reading the book, it makes sense. And now I think what a cool choice that was to do that, because all the books in the library had nothing on the spine, just green books. So clever. Is that the same in everyone's copy, or is that just the UK edition? I don't know. I'm curious. So if you have the hardcover American edition, check the naked copy and see if there's anything on the spine, because I'm just curious. And also, does the American copy have that inside, or is that just the UK? I'm obsessed with UK editions of books. Like, I might start just buying those instead of the US editions because they're just never as pretty. So anyway, I have some I have some discussion questions I found online because I finished the book yesterday. It's been a crazy week and I just haven't had time to like sit down and think of questions on my own. So I decided just to look up and see if there was anything, and I found two different places. Bookclubchat.com and Penguin Random House both had like book club discussion guides. So that is what I'm going to go with today. But I thought I'd start and just share like my thoughts overall with the book. I really, really liked it. I thought I would. I went into it expecting it to be good, but I wasn't sure if I was going to love it as much as I did. But I loved this book so much. I hugged it when I finished. It was just the perfect holiday season read. Like it was meant to be read in December, I think. And it just, I don't know, it reminded me a lot of It's a Wonderful Life and that feeling you get watching that when, I don't know. So I really liked that I was able to read it in December because it was supposed to be a November book, but like I just didn't get to it in November. So picking it up in December was perfect. I'm so glad that worked out that way. But I would say that this is definitely a 5-star read. It was a really fast read. I didn't, it took me like only a couple of sittings once I sat down and read it. And it was just so good and heartwarming. So let's just go ahead and I'll read some of the questions and we can talk about that, because that will organize this conversation. I'm feeling very tired and a little scatterbrained tonight. So if I'm all over the place, I apologize, but I'm going to try to keep my brain focused. So let's start with Nora. At the beginning of the novel, nothing is going right for her, and she feels like her life is already full of so many regrets. Why did Nora feel this way? What do you think she felt she had? Why do you think she felt she had no other option but suicide? I felt really sad for her at the beginning of the book, and just she seemed so hopeless, and I've never been that in that place before where I felt like there was nothing else, there was no way out or to get better, and so I can't relate specifically to that, but I've had moments in my life where it just felt really dreary and sad, and I just felt really bad for her, and that she couldn't see past it. Um, so I was worried, honestly, after that point that the whole book was going to be a downer like that, and I was a little bit nervous. I'm glad that it wasn't. I'm glad that it went up to a high note by the end, because I felt really sad. I think actually I got about 30 pages in, 40 pages in, somewhere, like whatever it was, right when she gets to the library, and I had to take a break for a little while because I just couldn't go there at that moment. But I'm glad that it got better, because man, that would be a hard read, I think, if a whole book was sad like that. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to go back and forth so I'm not reading one list all the way through. Oh, here's an interesting question. The Midnight Library is different for each person who enters it. Nora experienced it as a library because of the meaningful relationship she had with Mrs. Elm, her childhood school librarian. Later, we learn that Hugo's experience was in a video store with a cherished uncle instead of a librarian. What do you think your midnight library would be, and who would be there? I think mine would still be a library. I don't see it being something else. Like, I'm very much a book person, so I think mine would still be a library. Who would be my person, though? That's an interesting question. Like, I'm trying to think who has been a big influence on my life that would be like a mentor type person, and I'm struggling to think of somebody. Give me some time to think on that. I'm going to come up with an answer. So let's see. Yeah, I'm starting to think, do I have a teacher that I think I had a really great English teacher in like ninth grade that was a big influence on me. So maybe it would be Mrs. Gurse. I don't know. That would be interesting. Um, I don't know. It could be Mrs. Gurse. She was my English teacher in ninth grade, and she like really pushed me to pursue writing. And yeah, so maybe it would be Mrs. Gurse. Interesting question, though. That's got me thinking. Oh, Mickey, you said a yarn store and your grandma. Oh, that would be really cute. Britt says an art store and a high school art teacher. I did spend a lot of time in the library as a kid too. So maybe, yeah, I'm pretty sure mine's still a library. And it's probably my ninth grade English teacher. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that, I think. Okay, let's go back and forth and see. If you somehow ended up in a place like the Midnight Library, how do you think you would handle it? Would you want to see all the different outcomes that your life could have taken? Ooh, I don't know. See, for me, I think this would probably make me feel more regret, or more like, I don't know. I have to think on that. Like, I can't picture my life in a different place than it is now. And I don't know, like, I don't know if I'd want to know other things. Like, I don't know. It would be interesting, I guess, to see, like, I remember there was a time in my life and I really wanted to like pursue theater, and I just never did. But it was one of those things that I kept like, I wish I could do this. So I don't know. I guess if I had one regret, it would be that I have never done theater the way that I intended to or wanted to. So perhaps it would be cool to see what that looks like, but also like I don't want to change anything right now. So I don't know. Um yeah, I like where I'm at in life. I like my family. I like my world as it is. So I'm not sure I'd want to mess with that. But there are some things that I think would be interesting to know, but overall I wouldn't want to change it. So I don't, yeah. Hillary says, I don't think I would even be able to open the book of regrets. Yeah, no, me neither. I don't know. I don't tend to think in terms of things I regret, because I guess I'm just okay with where things are in my life, but I could see that would be really hard. That would be really difficult if I had different circumstances. yeah, there were moments in the book where I just kept thinking, like, would she stay in a life like this? And what would that be like to stay in? Like, would she suddenly remember everything from that life and be able to just fit into it? I don't know. Okay, let's see what's another question we could do. All right, Nora experiences a number of alternate lives in which she achieves a great deal of success in one area of her life at the expense of all the rest, be it in music, swimming, or polar exploration. Do you think it's possible to reach fame and fortune in a single field and still maintain balance with other areas of your life? That is something I thought a lot about while I was reading the book, was that she does seem to like, if you do really well here, then this thing is going to fall. And like, it's hard to balance. I do think you can find a balance, but I don't think you can find a balance with like fame, because that's something that you're just all in on. And I think, like, I've never wanted to be famous because I don't want that kind of scrutiny in my life. Like, this is as famous as I want to get, which is not very famous. but like, I wouldn't want that kind of, like, I don't want people knowing everything about me at all times. So I think it would be really hard if you had that much success. Like, her rock star lifestyle, I think would be like impossible to have any kind of balance, because like, everything you do, everything you think, everything you like, people are always watching you, and I hate that. I would not be able to manage a life like that, nor would I want to. And like, I don't think you can balance fame with everything else. I think though that you can find success like in a career. Like, her polar exploration thing was like an extreme version of it, but like, you could absolutely have like a great science career and a great family life. I don't think they're two exclusive things. So, but like, the way it was played out in the book obviously was made to be like, she had to go to the end of the earth to study the glaciers. So they made it into something that I think would be hard to balance because she had to go so far away. But yeah, I do think a normal science career, that you could be very successful and still have a good home life. Like, I don't know, I feel like it is possible to have balance when you have a successful something and a family life and that sort of thing. Um, Kara says, it seemed in the book that the main character pursued and became quite good at many hobbies. She mostly revisited her adult life. I may have tried more in my teen years if I were to go back. Ooh, that is a good thought, because she did seem to focus a lot on things like hobby type things like swimming and music, which obviously both of those things can lead to a type of career, but like are mostly considered for fun. Um, what would I Yeah, I think if I'd gone back to my teen years, I'd still go all in on theater. I think if I were going to explore something like that, that's probably the thing I would want to see. Like, could I have done that? I don't know. Oh, Spencer, me too. I don't like when people like try to interact with me out in public. I just, I don't want to do that. I just want to go and get my things and go home. um, okay, let's see. Let's do another question. Um, which of Nora's lives did you find the most interesting? I think I was the most interested in how her rock star life was going to play out, and I don't know why specifically that one spoke to me, but I just was endlessly curious, like, what would that look like for her? And I don't know, I think it played out fairly typically for what that would look like, but I still thought it was interesting. I thought the polar exploring was interesting too, but I don't like cold, and I can't envision why anyone would want to go there and be in that kind of environment. It just seemed uncomfortable. But that's just me. And the polar bear thing was very scary. But I did find that interesting, that that's the thing that kind of clicked for her to make her want to live. Like, I guess it makes sense though. Like when you're about to die, that's when you like change your mind and you realize maybe that's not what you wanted. Um, I thought it was really interesting too when she met Hugo and he recognized her as, what did he call them? Sliders? As a slider? And that made me think like how many people are doing that? Like how many people are at any given moment in the universe of the book, like in between lives. So I thought that was really interesting. I didn't see him as creepy so much as I was just curious, like what happened to him to cause this, and like how many other people were there. I thought it was interesting, and I've always really enjoyed reading about like the multiverse theory and parallel universes and that sort of thing. Yeah, Mickey, I wondered that too. Like, what triggers that kind of opportunity? I assume it has to do with like a person being just full of regret and being able to like find a way to reconcile their past. Suicide makes sense, but like nothing about Hugo specifically made me think he was suicidal. But also, I don't know, there was a line at some point too where the I think Mrs. Elm said something to the fact that like you don't have the same opportunities as Hugo, which made me very curious because what does that mean? Like why was his opportunity different? Why was he able to hop life to life to life constantly where we saw that Nora had a limited amount of time? So I found that really interesting, and it was such a throwaway line, but I was just like, what does that mean? Are we going to come back to that? And I guess we don't, but I would like to at some point. I would like to know what was the idea there. Let's see. Um, every time Nora goes to one of these realities, there's usually a lot of good, but also something bad. Whether it's her brother dying in the rock star storyline or her mother passing away alone when Nora kept going on with swimming. What do you think the author is trying to say there, and how each of these concepts has huge consequences? Honestly, I think there's going to be something bad no matter what you do. I don't think I don't think there's any like one ideal way to live. I don't think there's any one like guaranteed path. I think no matter what, there's always going to be something bad, and I think that's kind of what the point was of that was there's always going to be something imperfect in your perfect life. Like you can't have a perfect anything. So I don't know. That was what I think the author was trying to get across, is that no matter what you do, there will be something negative. There will be some sort of a consequence. I guess it's not really a consequence, but I guess it could be portrayed as that, like in the instance in the book. Um, yeah, Mickey, I agree. I think it was a very grass isn't always greener situation, which I don't know. I think that made the book for me more interesting, that like no matter what, there's a flaw, and we just have to learn to live with the flaws and find the good around them. Because I think that was part of the issue at the beginning of the book with her, is that she was hyper focused on all the flaws, which is easy to do when there's so many of them bombarding you all the time. So I don't know. I think being able to see past them was what gave her the ability to like come back and live her life. Oh, here's a good question. In her life before she finds herself in the Midnight Library, Nora gave up many of the pursuits that brought her joy because she didn't feel she could be the best at them. Do you think it's understandable that she would have given these things up? Do you think that wanting to be the best at something can inhibit us from enjoying it? This is something I think about a lot actually, because I don't know. I've been able to like turn a hobby into a career, I guess. Like I've always been a reader. I love reading, and I found a way to like monetize my reading by like building this business around books. And like I love that I do that, but I've seen a lot of discussion lately about like you don't have to monetize your hobbies, which I think is such an important discussion to have, because I think especially now with YouTube and that sort of thing, it's such a temptation to want to like find ways to make money off of the things you enjoy, but oftentimes that will make it turn into drudgery, and that you won't want to do it anymore because now it's not fun because it's work. Um, and so I can definitely see why she would want to back off of a thing that she loves to do that is about to become a job. And like, especially the rock star thing, like, man, it's one thing to sing and enjoy music and that sort of thing, and a whole different thing to be thrust into this world where everyone's watching you at all times and you have to perform in front of millions of people, and like that's too much. Like I could not. And so like I don't know, I can definitely see why she would want to back away from those things. But I also think that again, we have to be able to find balance. Like you can be a swimmer without having to be an Olympic swimmer, and you could be a singer without having to be a famous singer. Like there are ways to pursue things that make us happy without having to turn it into a career. So yeah, that's just a discussion I've been like seeing so much of lately, and I've thought about it a lot. Um, but I think you can definitely still have a passion and a normal life, and without maybe making it into something that you have to do. But yeah, I still love that I can like read for my job basically. I mean, I also write lesson plans and do other things with the books, but like reading is still like the heart of what I do, and I just love that. But anyway, let's see. What's another question? What did you think about the storyline where Nora marries Ash and has a daughter? Why wasn't she able to stay in this alternate reality? I actually thought that was really interesting that she didn't stay in that real. I was convinced because we spent so much time there that that was it. That was where she was going to stay, and that was how the book was going to end. And I was a little bit surprised when it didn't work that way. But after thinking about it, like I think overall it was because she didn't start the beginning of that life. Like she still had to like do the things herself. I think it's weird to like start in the middle of a life, and so I felt like she couldn't stay because she had to have all of the experiences. Because yeah, like Kara says, she didn't feel connected because she'd missed too much of it. um so there was a connection missing there. But yeah, I also felt that that was a really sad experience for her, to like see that there was a child there and that she loved that child but had to leave because that wasn't her life to finish out and live. um so I don't know, I kind of hope that she's able to find someone and have that child and that whole experience for herself, because I felt like that was the one that she most connected with. And I think it was also a point that was made in the story too, that love what was missing for her, and to have someone to love and to have someone to love her back. And so yeah, I think she'll eventually get there, and she has that now. I think when she comes back, she has her brother, and so she's still going to have those experiences, but I think she's going to go on and have her own family at some point, because I definitely think she connected the most with that life. I kept thinking the whole time, like I couldn't do that. I couldn't like drop into the middle of a life that I don't know anybody. I don't know what's happening. I don't know where I was the day before. I don't know anything, and then I have to suddenly like pretend to be that person. Like that sounded so stressful to me that I couldn't do it. Like I wouldn't want to necessarily have to like be in that life and see it play out. Like I don't know, that especially when she popped in the middle of a concert and I was just like, how do you do that? Like I just, you don't know the songs or anybody in the band. I'm like, that's too stressful for me. Like I can't even think about it. I already have enough anxiety. To plot that on top was just too much. So I found that whole scenario, like all of that, to be very, very stressful. Although it was clever when she had the little girl telling her things by turning it into a game. But yeah, no, I couldn't just like appear in a life and like figure things out as I go, trying not to sound crazy when I'm like, so what was I doing before? What did I say? Like, I don't know. It was just too much. I couldn't do that. Let's see. Well, we've already kind of said this, but as the story progresses, Nora finds herself in lives that she could be more satisfied with than others that proved more difficult. Do you think you would be able to live as an alternate version of yourself? And would you want to? No, I would not want that. I don't want to be a different version of me. I don't even know what that would look like. I don't know. I'd probably feel very uncomfortable with it. Like I don't need to see that. I don't need to like pretend to fit into a different world where I am doing other, I don't know, the whole thing. I wouldn't want that for me, but it was fascinating to read about. Like I found it really interesting. I loved the idea of it, but I don't want that for myself. Yeah, me too, Spencer. I've gotten used to this weird life I have and I kind of want to keep it. So, I found it also really stressful that like once you left a life you could not return. Like, I don't know. And that was just the whole thing really kind of felt stressful to me. Like I wouldn't want any part of that. Um, but I really liked reading about it and I really liked how the story ended on such a positive note and like I felt hopeful for her in the future that she was going to be okay. I kind of also like could see I could visualize the story as a movie. Does anyone remember the movie Mr. Destiny? I need to go find it so I can watch it later because I kept thinking about that movie too. Um because I could definitely visualize this being played out on a screen and like I don't know who would play anybody, but I would definitely watch it. Kara says maybe the theme was connection. She felt disconnected from the life that she left. And then when she met Molly and her piano student, she realized she wanted to and could make connections. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see the connections being a big key for her in finding her ability to be happy and to thrive in life because now she had a reason to live and reasons to keep going beyond just taking care of a cat, which the cat storyline too was just very sad for me. Like, I don't know. That whole beginning was tough. In your opinion, what is truly fulfilling in life? And I think connection and love, I think, are probably the things that are the most fulfilling. Like, I don't even think you necessarily have to have children to have a fulfilling life, but I mean, that does help. I think I find it fulfilling for my life. Um, but I think as long as you have love and a connection with other people, that's what makes life worth living and makes things fulfilling. It did have a very It's a Wonderful Life feel. Like I said, I felt like this was a very holiday inspiring kind of read. Like I could definitely see myself picking it up again next December because it just had such a heartwarming, good message. Oh, yes, purpose. having a purpose in life, having something to live for. And I just, yeah, knowing that you're needed and taking care of yourself too helps. Yes, definitely, Jill. I agree with that. Helping your community. Yes. Definitely helping other people, I think definitely makes a big difference too, and a sense of purpose and having those connections. Okay. So what did you guys think of the end of the book? Like, do you feel like it worked for you, like as an ending? And do you what did you think of the library like burning down? I thought that was interesting in that, like, it almost kind of made me think of how, like, at the end of A Christmas Carol, which we've been watching a lot of this month, at the end of A Christmas Carol, when Scrooge sees himself like dead, it makes him want to live more. And I think the drama of the library literally burning to the ground and her having to hurry up and escape it and have a reason to get out, it just felt very much like that. So I love the way the book wrapped up. I just felt like it all worked really well together. The whole thing. This was one of those almost perfect books for me. So I really loved it. Mm. Yes, Kara, I agree that the burning does symbolize both an end and a beginning. The end of her old life and the regrets and everything, and a beginning of a happy, good, fulfilling life. Yeah. I was so happy to have a 5-star read. It's been a couple of months where I just, like, nothing I was picking up was working for me. So, I was so relieved that I loved this. So, thank you guys for reading along with me. It's been such a fun year doing the book club with you guys. So, we don't have a December book. Like, I knew December was going to be a crazy month, and I didn't want to have to deal with one more thing this month. So I decided that we weren't going to have a December book. But and if you guys notice this behind me, if I can reach it without knocking it down. There it is. Okay. This is what I'm planning for our book club read for January, because I've been dying to pick this up. I've been hearing nothing but great things, and I just really want to read this. So we're going to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So that'll be our January book. And Sarah will be back for this because she really wants to read this. We have 2 copies because Sarah accidentally pre-ordered 2 copies of the book. So now I get my own copy and she has her own copy. So we're going to be reading this in January. And I'm so excited. This is also like I don't know if it's a parallel multiverse type story like this was, but I know it's like living a bunch of lives. So a similar theme, totally different way. So I'm really excited about this. So I hope you guys can get a copy and read along with us in January and hang out with me and Sarah for that live show. Oh, okay. I'm stuck. All right, my laptop in my lap so I can see both screens. So the British edition of the Addie LaRue, I don't know if I have, because I wasn't going to buy another copy of it because we already had 2. So I haven't looked at it, but I'm going to have to go check it out and see what it looks like and see if I can resist the temptation to purchase it. That's one of my goals. It's always my goal in the New Year's. I'm not going to buy as many books. And I always break that rule, like, very quickly. But I have a bunch of things pre-ordered for, like, other books that are coming out. Like in February, we're going to be reading, what is it called? Game Changer? I think it's Game Changer. That's the new Neil Shusterman, which is also, I think, a parallel world. I have a whole theme going apparently with multiverse, parallel worlds stuff. So that comes out in February. So I think that might be the February book, because I think it comes out at the beginning of February, but I don't know yet. At some point next year, we're going to be reading the new Neil Shusterman for book club, because I'm very excited about it and I can't wait. So potentially February, but I know it comes out like February 9th. So it might be more an April book, because March is March Through History. So I need a historical fiction book for the month of March for book club. So I don't know yet. No, Kara, I haven't read anything by Matt Haig besides this and what is it? The Boy Who Saved Christmas. I own what is it called? How to Stop Time, but I haven't picked it up yet. But I really want to, especially now after how good the Midnight Library is. I really want to read more of Matt Haig's work, but I haven't yet. So I do plan on that though. Oh yes, definitely. If you don't follow Matt Haig on either Instagram or Twitter, I highly recommend, because he is just wonderful. His posts are very uplifting and happy and just feel good, makes you feel good. I don't know. I like his stuff a lot. Yes, Kara, I have read Dry. I read that when it came out. When did that come out? 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, it was really good. I'm going to try to read all of Neil Shusterman's backlog. I have a lot of stuff to catch up on, but not yet. I haven't read everything, but I have read Dry. I've read half, a little over half, I think, of the Unwind series. I read all of the Arc of the Scythe. What else? Have I read anything else? I have a bunch of stuff I just haven't picked up yet. I really want to read The Schwab Was Here, because that just looks really cute. Oh, I've read Challenger Deep. That was the other one. Yes, I knew I read another standalone. I read Challenger Deep, which was very different from everything else he's ever written, but it was still really interesting and really, really good. I have another trilogy by him that I don't remember. Shattered something. Shards? I don't know. I can't think of the name of it, but it's another one of his trilogies. And I have a couple other standalones like Full Tilt and something else. Skinjackers. That's what I have. What is the other one? He has another trilogy too, doesn't he? I don't know. I have a lot of things that I need to read. That's why I want to not buy so many things in the new year, because last year, right before the new year, I made a list. Like I wrote it in a notebook. I made a list of all of my unread books. And it was like 348 or some nonsense like that. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna read this. And I read like 19 of those books this year, which didn't really help, and especially not since I bought like a couple hundred more books. And so it's a lot. So I want to try to read what I have without overbuying again. I mean, I still plan on buying things, but like I want to tone it down so that I can like maybe catch up and read some of the things that I've bought and do some like cleaning and purging, because I just have a lot. I have so much. I mean, I love having a lot of books because I like that, like, I'll never run out of reading material. I'll always have something to pick up, but also I'm out of shelf space and it's a problem. Yeah, like you can see kind of the mess behind me of like double stacked shelves everywhere. And I should probably work on fixing that. I just don't know what to get rid of right now, because like there's just a lot. So that is a goal I have. Like I might do another big list this time on the computer so I don't get a cramp in my hand from trying to write all the titles down in a notebook. But I definitely want to make it a goal that I'm going to read like 50% of the books that I read in the new year need to be things that were already on my shelves before the year started. So are you guys thinking up goals? Like I'm struggling, like really struggling to come up with reading goals or any kind of like life goals for 2021. because I feel like I made a lot of goals going into 2020 and that just all went to hell. So I don't know what to do about it. Oh, I'm definitely doing the reading challenge. Like that I'm the most excited about, the Build Your Library reading challenge, because I made it all about comfort and like reading things that make you happy and that sort of stuff. So that's definitely, I'm hoping, going to be successful, because I bombed the 2020 Build Your Library reading challenge like badly. Like I did so bad. I don't even think I got half. It just was a mess. So the only reading goal I succeeded at was read 100 books. I did that. I read. I think I want to say at 106 right now. I do want to read more nonfiction. I agree with that, Mickey. That's a thing that I've been saying to myself lately, that I haven't really read a lot of nonfiction this year. And I feel like that's been missing. I love nonfiction. I just haven't picked anything up. So yeah, that's definitely a goal I have, is more nonfiction, read my shelves, that sort of thing. Do my reading challenge. Oh, I used to do that too, Spencer. I used to set my reading goal like really low so that I was guaranteed to meet my goal. And it's only been like the last 2 years that I decided to go back up to a higher number, because I've gotten to where I pretty much routinely read about 100 books in a year. So I figure if I'm gonna do it anyway, I might as well set my goal for that. So I think the last 3 or 4 years I hit 100, or just over 100. So I'm always baffled by people who can read like 250 to 300 books in a year, because I just don't understand how. How does one read that much? I don't know. Like, especially this year, seeing people have still read that many books is just blowing my mind. Oh, Alicia, me too. I'm definitely more of a mood reader. I try to plan, but I really just want to pick things up that I feel the desire to read in the moment. But what I like to do with reading challenges is to kind of have an idea ahead of like what I have on my shelves that might work for a specific prompt, but then also most of the time I fill in prompts in afterwards, like, oh, this book happened to also fit this challenge. So I don't always plan ahead. Sometimes I just like read things and then make them fit the challenge. So, but I don't know if you guys haven't seen it yet. This is the Build Your Library reading challenge. You can find it on my website. I'll link it somewhere for you guys, maybe in the comments. It's on the Build Your Library website. But I made it a Arrrgh reading challenge. So it's a lot of comfort things, like reading a book with your favorite color on the cover, or a book with a household pet in the story, a story set in a library, a book with a cover that makes you feel cozy. So a lot of these are things you could also kind of like, after you've read something, you could work in how it fit into the challenge. So that's usually how I do it. A book by a favorite author, a book about food. I just downloaded an ebook yesterday. I think it was one of those daily deals. I don't know if you guys get emails for that. I get emails almost every day for like books that are on sale for really cheap. What is it called? Tiny Moons, A Year of Eating in Shanghai. I don't remember who the author is, but the whole book is about food in China. So I was like, oh yes, please. I would love to read that. So lots of great prompts that I thought would be fitting for like finding comfort and joy in reading, because I know I've had a lot of like struggle this year, especially this fall. This fall has probably been the worst with like finding time to like focus and read. So, yes, I plan on reading The Bear and the Nightingale. I was going to try to read it this month, but I don't know if that's going to happen now. I have I have about 2 weeks of like vacation time planned where I'm not working, besides like answering emails and that sort of thing, but I'm not going to let myself do any work. So that's like 2 whole weeks where I can read whatever I want. and I'm either gonna like go nuts and read a ton of stuff, or I'm gonna become like frozen with indecision and not pick up anything because I just can't decide what to read. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I definitely want to pick up The Bear and the Nightingale. I've been dying to read it, and like it's been very hyped to me as like a must read, and that it's something that I would love. So I hope that's true. I hope I love it. I don't know. It definitely has the winter feel to it. I have to see what challenges it would fit because I haven't really thought too hard about that. But I might do that as a book that makes you feel cozy, because it definitely does look like a cozy book. I don't know where my copy is. I thought it was behind me, but now I can't find it. Okay, well, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight and talking about the Midnight Library. And I'll see you in about a month when we hang out again to discuss Addie LaRue. I can't wait to do that. I can't wait to get into that book. I think it's going to be great. So thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye.